Welcome to HomeFront SitRep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront SitRep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront SitRep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Still in the fight, different battlefield, same damn life. No spotlight shining on the ones who serve, just great sacrifice and a whole lot of nerve. From small town shops to a helping hand, we're lifting each other, yeah, that's the plan. No red tape, no filter, no disguise, just truth in the fire behind our eyes. This is HomeFront SitRep, hear the call, where the real ones rise and the fallen stand tall. Every voice matters, every story's legit. We're family here, this is HomeFront SitRep. From the shadows to the spotlight we step. Yeah, this is HomeFront SitRep. From the scars we carry to the lives we rebuild, from the weight of silence to the strength of will. Non-profits grinding, boots on the street, no headlines chasing, just mission complete. Veteran alone, still chasing the dream. From a mic to a message, we're building a team. Creators and fighters, yeah, we all belong. Turn the pain into purpose, turn the hurt into song. No politics, no games, no divide. Just warriors standing side by side. This is HomeFront SitRep, hear the call, where the real ones rise and the fallen stand tall. Every voice matters, every story's legit. We're family here, this is HomeFront SitRep. From the shadows to the spotlight we step. Yeah, this is HomeFront SitRep. But we don't forget, we don't walk away. We carry each other through every day. From combat boots to a boss to a seat, still standing tall, still hard to defeat. Real stories, real impact, real people. This ain't just a podcast. This is a movement. This is HomeFront SitRep, loud and clear, for the ones still fighting year after year. Every voice matters, every story's legit. We're family here, this is HomeFront SitRep. Yeah, we rise, we grind, no regret. Welcome to HomeFront SitRep.
Welcome, everybody, to a Monday edition of HomeFront SitRep. How is everybody doing? Gunny, how are you today, sir?
Good, man. You know, I'm off the street, so domesticated house husband duties for a few days, if you will. But no, I got a text this morning. Tomorrow is bottling day
Nice.
for the 2026 Mogadishu Mile bottle from Jay Mattingly. So we're gonna bottle, we're gonna cork, we're gonna wax. Still waiting for the labels, but we're gonna get these 500 bottles taken care of. That way, when the labels come in, they can run labels, number them, and we can get them out the door. But yeah, so it's been a long time coming, and finally getting this one done. And this is our 5th bottle with Jay Mattingly, and I can't thank them enough for supporting the Mogadishu Mile, Kentucky, and the nonprofits that we represent.
Heck yeah. No, I'm excited to see the new bottle. this year. And I bet you the guys that went up and did the blending.
Haven't told them yet.
You ain't told
So-
them yet?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go down. It's a process, man. So the barrels have to be dumped, right, to get our 500. And then they set and let that melt. So but the barrels got dumped last week. So it's been sitting there just melding and working together for the past, 3 or 4 days. And then those will get dumped again into a bigger vat. It goes through the filtration process, and then every single bottle gets a bourbon wash. So basically just it goes into the bourbon cow, it's about that much bourbon in there, shake it around, dump it back in so it can get refiltered again. That way it gets any of that cardboard or whatever else is in that bottle out. And then those bottles go back in, get full, get topped off. They get weighed just to make sure that they're all within a certain thing. So about every 50 bottles, they'll weigh a bottle just to make sure that everything's dialed in properly. And then they'll get corked, corks get taped, and then the wax process. So we have 3 colors of wax this year. It's going to be infantry cord blue, just because the guys that came in this year, they were with 214 that were stationed with 10th Mountain during the Battle of Mogadishu. So they wanted that infantry cord blue. And then it's going to have a white and a red drizzle on it.
Oh, nice.
So super, super excited about that. And then once the labels come in, the labels are going to be like an infantry cord blue too, with the Mogadishu Mile logo on the front and the story of the Mogadishu Mile on the back, or the Battle of Mogadishu. But yeah, so just super excited about this year's blend. And I'm going to wait until I get down there and, I'll film a bunch of the process, because I do a video every year for it. And then I'll just send pictures to the guys and be like, hey, this happened today. And be like, hey, waiting on labels. I will let you know when they go on sale. So super, super excited about that. And then this weekend, obviously tomorrow, Wednesday, we have Tip of the Spear. And then this weekend, I'm out of pocket all weekend. It is selection and assessment week for Team Fast Tracks. I think we have 7 or 8 guys and gals trying out for the team this year. So I'll be up there doing my evaluator thing and, seeing if we can't find some guys and gals that are right for what we do and fit, our mold, if you will, of what we do at Team Fast Tracks, other than skydiving. That's just a small piece of it. It's that personal touch. It's, what you do in your community, what you're doing to give back. Why do you want Team Fast Tracks? Is it just to get, that check mark in the box and then to add to your resume of skydiving, or do you actually want to come and be part of the family that we have?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want somebody who's going to be part of the family. You don't want somebody just come in for the recognition of it and say, so you definitely want somebody to be part of the team. So,
Yeah,
big
for sure.
shout out to-
There's a few people that they've been around the team. There's one girl, I could say girl, one lady coming in. She's from Japan. She's a skydiver. She's taken part in some of the crew camps. She's come to our drop zone and actually done flag jumps and learned how to flag jump with us and with some of the guys on the team. And, she's been a huge asset to us in Japan when we go over for those performances. And, she's trying out this year, and we told her, it's going to be harder on you because you know what the team is all about. You know what to expect coming in. So you're going to be judged a little bit harder. And, myself and Matt Harvey are 2 of the evaluators, and we're the ones that go to Japan every year. And she's helped out, and she helped. I mean, even just outside of the skydive stuff, of her showing us around Tokyo and, picking us up and doing things with us, and, going to all the hot restaurant spots for the locals instead of the touristy stuff. So, I mean, she's done a lot, for the team and translations and stuff like that while we're over there. She'll probably make it just because her personality fits the team. What she does in her regular everyday life fits the team. She's a solo jumper most of the time, so we got to see how she fits in with that team atmosphere, jumping and jumping with flags and everything else that we do, and how she can work under pressure. All the things that we go through, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it already sounds.
This past week we had 0 comms. Like, we didn't have any comms with the pilot, so we had to go to our no comm plan. Matt, who was on the ground, he didn't. He's never had to use the panels to communicate with. And then he's using the panels. He's still making the radio calls. I'm texting So we had so much communication going on. But when the pilot only has one radio and we're in San Fran airspace, right? And where we were at Stanford Stadium, it's San Fran and San Jose airspace. So there's a lot of traffic going on there. So he has to stay on that, channel with ATC. And, the good thing is our jumpers use another two-way radio that they can hear our communication. So even if the pilot can't, one of the jumpers can hear the communications, and we have a text thread going of, okay, this is what's going on. So and plus the panels as, a visual for them.
Right. And it sounds like she's already kind of made herself valuable to the team, especially when you guys are over in Japan at Iwakuni there doing that jump over there. So it sounds like she's already, and I'm sure that, you guys have been doing it long enough, evaluating new team members and stuff like that. You guys already have what you're looking for.
So they look good on paper, right?
Right.
But when they walk through the door, right? So when I first started doing the evaluations, the boss just wanted me to sit back and watch people and see how they interacted with other people, right? You use those skills that I was taught on recruit duty and used on recruit duty for 3 years. And then just look and see who the alpha is, how they interact with people, how they interact or how they react when they get taken out of a leadership role and put in like a tertiary role, or even just a ground support role, right? Does it hurt their ego? Do they get all, pissed off, for lack of better words? And just do all that. And within the first 10 to 15 minutes, I'll look at the boss and I'll be like, yes or no. And at the end of the day, I think only one of my no's has made it through everybody else. And that person has slowly, like very slowly over the past 3 years, 4 years, come around full circle to truly accept what we are as a team and embody the creed and do everything else. But again, it took 2 or 3 years for him to do that, but I mean, my instincts were right the first time. It's just, his skill set as a performer was good. The way he interacted with people was good. It was just some of the things lacked. And not everybody can be me. And at the end of the day, that's what I have to realize. And, the boss even said that. He goes, there's going to be nobody that does what you do and as hard as you do. And it's true. I've sacrificed so much over the past 12 years, family time, my time. Hell, I'll get out of the hospital and the next day I'm on a jump somewhere. And instead of taking time to recover, or I'm on a jump, have to go to the hospital and I wait till it's over with, then go to the hospital. So, I mean, there's just so many things that I have done, personally, that there's no one that's going to fill my shoes. They'll try, but and for some people it's not hard. They got bigger feet than me, but the energy that I put into the team, there's just nobody out there that does it. I mean, the boss does, because he's the boss, right? He cares about his team, and I'm probably second to him.
Yeah, once you decide to step away completely, they're going to need 2 people to fill your shoes, probably. To do what you do, which is, what we're trying to do when you're in the Marine Corps is make yourself valuable, because you don't want to be that invaluable Lance Corporal or PFC. You want to make sure you set yourself up for success. I'm not saying go volunteer for every working party and do all of that, but you want to be knowledgeable and you want to carry that energy along with you in your journey. And that kind of goes into our guest today. So we have coming on today, United States Marine Corps officer. So he's a dark side guy, Jon Cole.
He's a warrant officer. So let's go there. He's a warrant officer, right? So
warrant officer.
He's not not full dark side, right? He's like gray side. I mean, the good thing is he was enlisted first, right, and then made that transition, and it's in that gray space, right? That especially once you get to that chief warrant officer 3, they're like, what do these guys even do? And we never see them. They're never in formation. You see them arrive with a coffee cup every now and again, and then it's like smoke and then disappear.
Yeah, smoke and mirrors, baby. Yeah. So he served 16 years in the Marine Corps, and leading Marines through multiple combat deployments. Jon faced the same transition challenges that so many veterans experience when the mission changes and the uniform comes off. kind of ties into what we were talking about last night with our guest last night.
I mean, last night in every show, right? We
Yeah.
always somewhere within the show, we always bring it to what was your transition like,
Yeah.
right? He's already putting it out there that it was, kind of rough, right, or shitty, and what he's doing now to help others or help himself, right? Kind of like you, doing the podcast to help you with your stuff and still transition. I mean, I'm not saying I'm recently retired, but I've been retired longer than I was in the Marine Corps. Right. So yeah, I did 14 and change, right? Medically retired. And now this past January, I think 26 or 28 was my 14-year mark, of being retired. So it's like, man, this is crazy. This is why I've been out longer than I was in. Is that possible?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those, man.
So he created the Bunkhouse. He created the Bunkhouse Podcast to let veterans share their stories, which is super cool. It's kind of like what we do, but we do it with nonprofits. We do it with veteran business owners, veteran authors, comedians, singers. He does it on another level.
I mean, you did it with me, right?
Yeah.
So I don't run a nonprofit. I don't, I'm not a singer, songwriter, comedian, author, any of that stuff. But you've known me for longer than I was in. Like I said, it's been 29 years, right, since we stepped foot on the Yellow Footprints and 2-8 and the deployments that we did there. But you knew everything I went through. How my transition was, my recovery, my ongoing medical, and my ongoing VA up until a couple of years ago, and I got 100%. So, having me come on, and we've had other veterans just come on and tell their story too, to help shed light that there are people out there like you going through the suck, going through the struggle, that have pulled themselves up or had people pull themselves up, right? And that's what we do, and that's what Jon's doing with his podcast. He's helping people get their story out there, and the more and more you talk about, the less the sharks are swimming, the less the demons start to take over, and the more you empty your friggin' pack, dude.
Yeah, and one of his mottos is right there at the bottom of the screen: "Be the light in someone's dark."
Yeah,
man, that right there is so powerful. It's kind of like be someone's stranger, but in a little different aspect of things, because you never know when you reach out to somebody where they are in life. You don't know what's going on unless you talk to them every day of the week. You don't know what they're going through, right?
Yeah.
So be the light in someone's dark. Just by reaching out to them, being someone's stranger and reaching out to them, you're that light in their darkest days. And then you say it all the time, like when we talk about it takes a village. You reach out to somebody, you never know, your voice could save that person's life.
Yeah.
So I think it's super cool. Skipper over here from Veteran Nation says retirees need to file for combat related special compensation. That one, I guess it would be tricky on that one, right, Gunny?
It depends. So if you have combat related injuries, you can. Yeah. If you don't, then it's one of those things that you can't, right? And that's why they're trying to get this Richard Starr Act done, is for those guys that didn't get medically retired, that don't have the combat related injuries, to be able to get their concurrent receipt and be treated like a 20-year retiree.
Yeah. And I seen something that said like remove section 108. I guess that's the added section, whatever. I don't know.
We discussed it last week. There's so much fluff in there that needs to come out.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm super excited to bring our guest up. We've had him on. I think he was on the Tip of the Spear last month, and we're going to have that again.
I was on a plane somewhere.
I know you were on a plane, jet setting around the world. I think he'll be back on this Wednesday's episode of the Tip of the Spear as well, as long as he's available. So I'm super excited to bring him up. Are you ready, Gunny?
Yeah, man.
Let's bring him up. Welcome to the show, Jon. How are you, sir?
Doing good, guys. How about you?
We are doing wonderful. First off, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy day to come hang out with Gunny and I for this hour. Do me a favor, introduce yourself to the world of HomeFront SitRep if you don't mind.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm Jonathan Cole. I'm the host of the Bunkhouse Podcast, where I give the veterans the kind of the ability to share their stories, some stuff that they did while they were in service, but primarily going through some of their spirals or their darkest times, especially post service, because that's when a lot of us really struggle. I think the most is once we take the uniform off and trying to find that new purpose or that new mission in life. And and go through some of the things that they really kind of build or founded their healing journey on, kind of build a good foundation and some of the habits that they have built to kind of start getting out of those dark spots and make it for a better life on the other side. And then a lot of them are taking that into their healing and into kind of a season in their life to where they can start giving back as well. And whether it be some of them are published authors, some of them are also podcast hosts, just like I am, kind of using that as an outlet and kind of giving back to the community as well.
Amen. Yeah, that's what I love about this veteran podcast community out here is, one, we can share guests amongst each other. So like if I got a guest that you might not have had on, you're like, oh, I seen that episode, I want them on. I say, hey, let me connect you via email. And if it's just somebody like Gunny's got an amazing, well, I don't want to say amazing story because I'm sure if Gunny could go back, he would take some things away. But he's got a story.
And everything that happened from date of enlistment to date of retirement got me to where I am today. If I change one thing, where I am today is not where I should be. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I was pissed off for a very long time, but I am very happy in the space that I'm in now, especially after I found, the job that I do and working with the nonprofits that I've worked with and, being able to take that time and spend with the wife and the kids and go on trips to Europe and cruises and whatever. But yeah, I change anything, one thing, and that's it. That it's not here.
Could you imagine almost 30 years ago, if me and you didn't meet on those yellow footprints, what life would be like right now?
I'd be happy, dude. I wouldn't have to do this every Sunday and Monday and last Wednesday of the month. No,
oh hell, no, man. It's all fun. That's what I love about the Marine Corps, that brotherhood. And ours started very early on. Yes, John is a crown eater as well, but he's a warrant officer, skipper.
He's the gold and the silver ones. He upgraded.
So let's talk a little bit about your Marine Corps career. You did 16 years in the Marine Corps. So tell us about your Marine Corps journey.
Yeah, real quick, I kind of want to touch on what Gunny said. Like, if he changed one little thing, he wouldn't be where he is today, right? And I truly believe that in my story as well. And it's part of, I believe everything happens for a reason, good or bad. And even if it seems bad at the time, it could be used or set you up for good in the future, right? And the reason I say that is because I graduated high school in 2003, and I joined the delayed infantry program as well my senior year of high school. Was going into the Marine Corps as an infantryman at this time, but I also started riding bulls at this time as well my senior year. I hurt my knee, and that may sound like a little injury, but it's not. Dropped me from it. My recruiter discharged me from the DEP at that time because I was about a month out from shipping off to recruit training, and there was no way my knee was going to heal in time for me to go down to Parris Island. Was not going to happen. So already been in the DEP too long. He discharged me. Fast forward to 2006 when I actually enlisted into the Marine Corps. And this time I didn't come in as infantry. And I'll talk about that here in a minute too. But after I joined the Marine Corps and looking back, if I would have came in 2003, I would have graduated recruit training in September of 2003, would have went it to ITB, graduated from there, went on to a follow-on school, depending on if I was a heavy machine gunner, Mormon, whatever, would have hit the fleet by the end of 2003, beginning of 2004. We all know what happens in the spring of 2004, the first Fallujah, then November, Operation Fan and Fury, 2005, Ramadi. Like, looking back at those things, if I would have went in when I originally was going to, straight out of high school, I definitely wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing today. I may not even have made it home from either one of those. Yeah. And if I did, I wouldn't have been 100%, whether it be mentally or physically, like a lot of our brothers and sisters are that that did join and served during that time, right? And so what seemed like a kind of discouraging injury at first, because that's all I ever wanted to do was be a Marine. There was 3 things in life: was bull riding, firefighting, and be a Marine. Those are the 3 things I ever wanted to do in life. I was a junior firefighter when I was in high school. I rode bulls for a little while, and I also was able to serve in the Marine Corps as well. So, but and again, taking that time away and joining when I did, I was able to meet my wife, have the kids that I have, meet the people that I have met along the way, been able to do this great thing that we do as podcasters and share the stories, share our own stories with folks, give back to our community. And so, again, I'm glad you brought that up. Like, if you changed one little thing, you wouldn't be even close to where you are today. And I truly believe that as well. And so, but yeah, I enlisted in 2006. And when I first, right before I shipped off to recruit training, the day I was to go step on the yellow footprints, the Marine Corps liaison from MEPS called me in his office and says, "Hey, I can't give you artillery," because I was on an artillery contract when I first enlisted. And I was like, "Well, why not?" And he's like, "Well, because you didn't do geometry in high school." And like, now I know that was a load of horse crap, because they needed quotas for something else, right? I got straight recruitered. Yeah, Gunny, I know you said you're a recruiter, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. See, and I was like, well, okay.
I got an MP slot I need to fill.
It's funny you say that, because I was like, okay, well, what about field MP? Because I, being a cop, I could do that after I got out. And he's like, yeah, you can't do that either. The thing is, I was 21, so I was it wasn't because I couldn't own a firearm. So, yep. And so I was like, okay, well, what's available? And he's like, refrigerator mechanic. I was like, yeah, definitely don't want to do HVAC stuff. He's like, okay, well, I was like, what else? He's like, how about a cook? I was like, yeah, definitely don't want to do that either. And he's like, warehouse clerk. And I was like, man, I worked in a warehouse 3rd shift. Yeah, I'm not doing that either. Like, and he's like, well, what about data systems? I was like, well, what does that mean? He's like, I really don't know, but it's something with computers. And this was 2006. So computers were starting to become a thing more. The internet was starting to become a thing. And I was like, you know what? Sure. Even if I decide to only do 4 years, at least it'll give me something that I could transition out of and get an okay job. Right. And I was like, okay, let's just do that then. And so I went from a 4-year artillery contract to a 5-year data systems contract, because we were required. Yeah. Because our school was so long. It actually wasn't even that long, but whatever. Anyways, went off and did that. And my first duty station was at Camp Pendleton. So again, me being an old rodeo cowboy from Western North Carolina, I get stationed in Camp Pendleton, straight out of comm school out of 29 Palms, So I went to Pendleton for my first 4 years. That's where I also met my wife. Within the first year I was there, I got there in March of 2007. By January in 2008, I was deploying to Iraq with the Marine Air Support Squadron, went to Camp Fallujah from January to August of 2008. Came back. Our second rotation, or our Bravo rotation, will replace this in tow. So came back home to half a squadron and started getting ready for the next rotation of deployments after that. By this time, and so also, I always like to tell this story a little bit, is right before I deployed to Iraq, found out my wife's girlfriend at the time was pregnant. So I leave to Iraq. We're not married. I'm a Lance Corporal. While I'm in Iraq, I get promoted to Corporal. We get married while I'm in Iraq, because the state of California allows proxy marriages if one party is deployed to a combat zone. So use that. Got married while I was on deployment. Came back.
With you or with her?
Was that?
Your witnesses, were they behind you or were they with her?
They were with her. So her and her best friend from high school went down to the San Diego County Courthouse and did the I-do's and stuff. And so it's not even my signature on our marriage certificate, right? It's my name, but not my signature type of thing. So, so yeah, I left for Iraq I was dating, but essentially in the eyes of the Marine Corps, a single Lance Corporal.
Yep.
Came back from Iraq as a married corporal who was about to have a newborn within a month of returning from Iraq.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
that's your command.
yeah. And so by May of 2009, I had gotten promoted to sergeant. And again, that was one of the perks of being in a comm MOS a lot of times, especially at this time. And the plus up, promotions were pretty fast at that time for communications MOSs. So made sergeant in just under 3 years. And then come July of 2009, I was the newest sergeant. I was the sergeant that had been at the squadron the longest. So I was up for orders, and I PCA to a logistics battalion right there, still at Camp Pendleton. And this was July of 09. Got there, and then in August went to 29 Palms for a month. So wasn't even there a month. Went to 29 Palms for a month for pre-deployment training. Came back for September. My oldest daughter now had just turned 1 in September of 09. And then the beginning of October went to Afghanistan with them. Went to Helmand Province. And that was, and then I will say my deployment to Iraq was very, very easy. Nothing what I expected. Lived in Cairns, got to go to the chow hall 3 times a day, got to go to the gym twice a day. It was actually really, really good. It was a great first deployment, in my opinion. When I went to Afghanistan for the first time, it was much different. Lived in tents, slept on cots. Chow was okay. It wasn't MREs every day, which was good. And then we also, our battalion got tasked with supporting a company-sized element to go support 1-6 in the offensive operation for Marja. So I got selected to go do that. I was kind of like our watch officer inside of our logistics COC, supporting them. Took in all the missions for all their vehicle recoveries for IEDs. Did logistical coordination and stuff when they needed to do resupplies, any troop movements, those types of things. So came back in late April of 2010. So again, 2008, 2009, and 2010, I was either in Iraq or Afghanistan at some point in those 3 years. Came back and again did our post-deployment stuff and then got right back into the field training for the next deployment. And then the summer of 2011, so a year later, got orders to PCS, the 1st Battalion, 8th Marines here at Camp Lejeune, and got there in July of 2011. By August of 2011, was back in 29 Palms for Mojave Viper again, getting ready for their deployment cycle. Came back, and daughter had just turned 3 at the time for this one, and then my wife was also pregnant with our son during this move as well. My son was born December 31st of 2011. I deployed to Afghanistan with 1-8 on January 10th of 2012. So my son was 10 days old when I deployed.
Holy cow.
So yeah. So those first 4 or 5 years of my Marine Corps career there was a lot of turnover, a lot of going on, a lot of moving parts, and a lot of being away. Not your typical, I guess, really story or scenario. And maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know many people that's had that quite of a scenario, but it was a lot of ups and downs, probably a lot more downs as far as personal life goes than ups. A lot of career ups, I would say. It was a lot of good experience for me in my career and really got me to where I was by the time I was able to retire. But so yeah. And then in 2013, hey, what's going on, man? So by 2013, 14, so 2014, I got promoted to staff sergeant. And at the time, infantry battalions didn't rate a staff sergeant for data MOSs. It was a sergeant only. And so at the needs of the Marine Corps, I got orders to Okinawa, Japan. Great times. Yeah. And so went through the medical screening and stuff. My son, his stuff got denied because he had some issues with one of his pinky toes when he was born. Had to have some orthopedic surgery done when he was a newborn, and then also needed to have continuous care for an orthopedic surgeon just to make sure growth and stuff was good. And they couldn't provide that. So I would say, luckily, it did get dropped down to a 1 year unaccompanied, which is nice. I didn't have to do a 2 year unaccompanied because of the medical piece of it for my son. So went there by myself, brand new staff sergeant, went to Okinawa by myself. And actually at this time, we'd already had our youngest daughter too. And she had just turned 1 by the time I was leaving. So she was born in August of 2013. I left to go to Okinawa in August of 2014. So she was 1 year old. I had to leave for a year. And then while I was in Oki, I decided it's time for me to try to be home a little more, if I can choose where I want to go next, I'm going to. And so all the monitors, they were doing their road show. So I got to talk to mine, and I requested to go to 29 Palms to be an instructor at McSess out at the schoolhouse for Com Schoolhouse, which not a lot of folks request to go to 29 Palms. But to be honest, it was the best duty station I have ever been at, to be honest. And my wife will tell you the same thing. If you ever got to ask her, it was our favorite place to be stationed at was in 29 Palms, because most of us only know 29 Palms either from being a student in our entry level schools, or maybe even a follow on school, or just in the field. So you're not really on main site anytime. You're just out at Camp Wilson, out in the training area, right?
Right.
I will say being permanent personnel was phenomenal. Like their MCCS is the best, in my opinion, in the Marine Corps, because most MCCSs, like especially at Pendleton, Lejeune, the bigger installations, they tailor a lot of their events to the single Marine, right? They're not very family oriented. 29 Palms, 100%. Everything they did was family oriented, but also could be appealing to single Marines as well, right?
Cool.
That's what I say. That's why I say MCCS being like on base environment was phenomenal, second to none in my opinion across the Marine Corps. So we really enjoyed it. The kids loved being out in Joshua Tree, going hiking and stuff too. So there was a lot of stuff that we really enjoyed. So again, that was the best duty station we'd ever been in. So did that, got to teach some entry level Marines on how to be basic data Marines coming into the Marine Corps. And so I learned a lot there, learned a lot about myself, and really learned that I have a passion for my MOS and like my career field as a whole. And so that's when I decided to put my application in to become a warrant officer. And so I got selected off the FY18 warrant officer board and went off to Quantico for my warrant officer basic course in January of 2018. Graduated from there in May of 2018. And for anybody that don't know what the warrant officer basic course does, it really just teaches you how to be a provisional rifle platoon commander. It really teaches you all the infantry tactics over again. But more from a leadership perspective versus the troop perspective, if you would, really is what it does. Again, I learned a lot about myself there too. A lot of what I thought were weaknesses that really turned into strengths. I learned where a lot of my tipping points were and how to push past them to make myself better. So that was one of the best decisions I ever made in my career, was to become a warrant officer and even just go through that. Went back to 29 Palms for my follow-on school. That's where our warrant officer communications course is also in 29 Palms. Graduated from that in December of 18 and got stationed at Camp Lejeune at the Com Battalion here at Camp Lejeune. I would say, yep. I would say I was very lucky that my first battalion commander at the Com Battalion was also my first company commander when I checked in at Bravo Company in McSess as an instructor. So he knew me when I was a staff sergeant. So I was very excited to learn that he was going to be my battalion commander there, because we had a very good working relationship, really knew each other really well, knew how each other operated. So it was actually a really good fit. I'm very happy. I don't think I could have been as successful without that, being my first experience as a brand new warrant officer, than having him as my boss, which was great. I also had a lot of other great chief warrant officers that brought me in, put me under their wing, and really showed me the ropes and taught me what it really meant to be a restricted officer in communications, and really what that truly meant for our community as communicators. And I definitely think I think them every day. So this was 2019. We did a lot of NATO level exercises and kind of MAR4U, European Command type of exercises as well, a lot. And so got to go to Romania, got to go to Germany a couple of times, do some training exercises. So still gone here and there some, but not near as much as I was when I was enlisted and out in the fleet enlisted. And then all of a sudden I was getting ready for the PFT in 2019, was doing some pull-up training, and I got down and I noticed my right elbow was a little swollen and it was hot to the touch. It really didn't hurt or anything, but then this was on a Friday. And so I was like, you know what? I'll wait. If it ain't any better by Monday, then I'll go to medical. It wasn't better by Monday. So went into medical, come to find out I actually had some ulnar nerve issues in my right elbow. So had to get surgery, had to get some ulnar nerve decompression done. So that kind of set me back a little bit. And then all of a sudden, by the end of 2019, by the end of 2019, it was almost like my body started kind of shutting down on me. Like I started having more nerve issues. I had muscular issues. I had lumbar issues. Like there was all of these things that just compounded almost like instantly and over, like at the same time, to where it's like my body was like, yeah, we can't do this anymore. Like it has to change. We have to have a change in pace. And so started going through medical, going through that whole process, was on limited duty for a while. They weren't going to do a third stint of limited duty. So they had to start the medical board process. And I say this kind of jokingly, but not, fortunately COVID happened. And I hate saying stuff like that because we all know COVID was a terrible thing that happened. So many people got sick. A lot of people died from it. But for me, COVID actually kind of was almost like a light at the end of the tunnel for me because it completely stopped all med board processes. Right. And the reason I say it's fortunate for me is because when it stopped, there was a backlog once things started opening back up and it could start doing the appointments and stuff again. It pushed me out past 15 years of service by the time I finally got my findings and stuff back. So I heard you say, Gunny, you said that you got medically retired. I was fortunate enough to where I was actually eligible for TARA. So I denied and waived my med board findings, submitted my TARA application, got approved. So I actually got to do early retirement versus medical retirement.
Yeah, you took the 15 option.
Yep, I did exactly, and again, it what made the most sense because I get a pension. It's not calculated at 50% like it is if I went truly to 20. It came out to be like 38% of my high 3, which is still a damn good check in my opinion every month. But also, it gives me the ability to get my VA disability as well. So I get both my pension and my VA disability, and that's actually like with the combat related piece where you can get full VA and full your retirement pension. I also have that. So I get my full VA disability and I get my full retirement pension because of it, because every bit of my conditions for my med board were service connected and combat related. And I think for anybody that's listening out there that may be active duty going through some of these things, even if it didn't happen in actual combat, like in a deployed status, if it's in combat simulated, like you're training, that also counts as combat connected, right? Just wanted to throw that out there because I didn't know that until I went through the process. Not a lot of people know that.
The CAX, RCAX, Mojave Viper, all that stuff, going out to Bridgeport and doing either the mountain package or the cold weather package, all that stuff counts. Or doing NATO exercises, all that stuff counts.
Exactly.
All that stuff.
And actually, so like McMap as well, that also counts because you are doing some type of close combat. Exactly. Yeah, because again, back in the day, we would do our body hardening techniques and then you deaden your nerves, right? And so I have a feeling a lot of that has a lot to do with a lot of my extremity issues, my nerve issues. And so, going through that. And so, and I ended up retiring at the end of May in 2022. So 4 years ago. And I look back now and on July 10th of this year, so this past July 10th, would have made 20 years since I stepped on the yellow footprints in Paris Island. And so, and we talked a little bit earlier about how the transition, one, affects us all differently, but it's usually when we have the worst effects is after we transition out. And for me, Gunny, I don't want to speak for you, but you probably have some of the same as your time got stopped short. So you feel like you weren't able to finish the mission because you couldn't go to 20, right? That's exactly how I feel. And so, and it was, and going through the med board process, like you don't know when that day is going to come until you get the letter and say, hey, you're approved. This is when you're going to retire, right? This is your date.
For me, I was part of that pilot program when it first started going to both the VA and the Navy.
Oh, okay.
Initial group back in, oh my God, I think my med board started in 2009, I think, is when my med board started. And then I didn't get retired until 11. But I kept having surgeries too. And I didn't know. I'm like, hey, stop the med board. I have to have another surgery. My verbiage was wrong. I could have told them, pause the med board, right? Yeah. So anytime you tell them to stop, they just completely put it to the side. And then they restart it over when you say, okay, you can continue. If you tell them to pause, they'll basically put a marker in there with all their notes and then put it to the side, and you're like, all right, continue. They'll continue from that point instead of starting all the way back over again. So my med board process took a little over 2 years. But when the paperwork came back, I had 2 days to check out.
Oh, wow.
Because I either had to sell my time back or take my terminal. So I took my terminal, and they still didn't have an active duty date for me. And then I was here at home, and I got a phone call. Hey, your retirement date's tomorrow. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So I couldn't even go back to my command and have a retirement ceremony or any of that stuff. Like, I didn't get any end of tour award, like end of service award, none of that stuff. And I was with my command for 5 years before I retired, and did a lot with that command. I mean, I got pulled up as the squadron gunny, whatever that is, in the friggin' air wing unit, because the damn thing didn't exist until I got over there. I was too busy stressing Marines out, and they had to create a freaking
You were too busy using that right there.
now every air wing command has a friggin' squadron gunny. I'm like, welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's the one.
I mean, you lose that sense of purpose. You lose that sense of direction. You do feel as though you failed because you couldn't go to that 20. I mean, especially after you get over 8, you're like, dude, this is a career for sure, right? And then it's like, damn, it's not anymore. And then I can't draw a concurrent receipt because I got medically retired, and I wasn't at that 15-year mark to take the 15 option. And I was like, man, this just sucks. And I was down a lot, and on myself. Didn't hate the Marine Corps, didn't hate the Navy, didn't hate the process. I was down on me because I couldn't get to that 20-year mark. Now, I had the option to, but I would have been put on permanent limited duty status. I was going to end up going to Quantico to the Marine Corps shooting team to help rewrite doctorate for the Marine Corps infantry. And I still would have deployed, but not in a deploying sense, right? I would have traveled all over the world teaching people how to shoot, right? Or doing competitions or whatever. And my wife's like, if you're doing it alone. I was like, oh, I guess I'm getting out. See you later. And we had, my oldest was 3, my youngest was getting ready to turn 1. So it's like, I gotta go. I'm not gonna be there for my kids, so
whenever I was going through mine, I looked in to try to do the permanent limited duty piece, but by the time I was going through mine, they actually you had to be at 18 to be eligible for permanent limited duty. By the time it was my med board started going through, or that's what I would have tried to do, is the permanent limited duty, because again, doing data, I could still do my job technically. Like, I was still really good at the technical stuff of my job. I just couldn't do the Marine Corps stuff anymore.
You couldn't do the basic functions of a Marine, right?
Exactly.
And all that stuff. And that's what they told me too. They're like, listen, you can't do the basic functions of Marine anymore. Like, I couldn't even do a modified PT.
I couldn't either.
Like that. So they're like, swim call. I could still go to the rifle range. I could still go to the pistol range, but I couldn't do the physical things, right? And that includes going to the career courses, right? Because you're still doing PT and everything like that. And I just couldn't do that portion. So they're like, we're going to have to let you go. And I'm like, dude, I picked up gunny at 9 years and change, or 12 years and change with the lat move. I'm good. Yeah, absolutely. I'll get out of gunny. I'll retire as a gunny. Best rank in the Marine Corps for sure. Let me go.
Yeah.
It definitely is one of the most respected ranks in the Marine Corps for sure. Being the gunny there. So, all right. So let's talk about the Bunkhouse Podcast. So we've learned about your military journey. And so what made you decide? Oh, why did it get really dark in there? Real quick?
I don't know why my camera got dark. That's weird.
Yeah,
my light's still on.
Yeah, it went super dark.
Let's shut down. I don't know if you heard all the thunder and the booming and the banging, but we got a hell of a storm going on here.
We got some come. We got some. Yeah, so you see, you're in North Carolina too?
No, he's in Northern Kentucky.
Yeah. Oh, North Kentucky. Yeah. So I'm still down by Camp Lejeune. We got some strings of storms coming through today as well. So
yeah, you're probably getting the stuff that we're getting or that we had earlier today, because it was crazy here earlier.
There we go.
So let's talk about the Bunkhouse Podcast. So you started this podcast. What was your why? Because this is something that I always ask other podcasters. So like my why, it was because I was going down that rabbit hole of, after doing volunteer work and nonprofit work for 20 years, and I resigned from my last board. I went down a rabbit hole for about a year and a half of what's my next step, right? Like
Yeah.
I was still working my full-time day job, still doing the things with the wife and kids, but my PTSD, my anxiety, and all of that was starting to boil over. Like my bucket was getting full, right? Because I didn't have that release like when I was volunteering. So my wife, she came to me one day and she goes, "Hey, something needs to change or I'm out the door." You know, and I already had thought about doing a podcast. So I bought the camera, bought the computer, bought everything I needed, but it just sat down here and it was collecting dust. And I was like, man, all right, let's start this podcast. And then I started researching and looking at other veteran podcasters out there, what they were doing and what they were talking about. And a lot of them would bring in your Purple Heart, your Purple Heart vets, your Medal of Honor recipients, and stuff of that nature. I call them high profile veterans, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They would bring those guys in, but nobody was really talking about the mom and pop grassroots nonprofits that people might not know about, like Montana Warriors on the Water. If you're not from Montana, more than likely you're not going to know about Montana Warriors on the Water. You're not going to know about Project Hope down in Florida or Project Zero out in Texas. You're not going to know about these unless you're there. So I was like, all right, I know nonprofits. I know how to look up their 990s and make sure the money is going where the money's supposed to be going. I know how to look at the Facebook reviews, the Google reviews, and everything, and make sure that what's on paper is who they are behind the scenes. Because we all know you can have a great nonprofit, but if the founder or people on the board are just real crappy to the veterans that are there, then it's not a great nonprofit. So
Yeah.
you got to look at all that. So my why when I created this podcast was to highlight veteran service organizations from around the country, the mom and pop grassroots, but it was also my therapy because now I'm able to talk to these nonprofits. I'm able to talk to veterans that are running these nonprofits and hear their story and be able to tell my story as well. And then, of course, over the little over 3.5 years, it's changed. Like we brought in veteran authors like Betsy Ross with the Fight series, or Matthias Carter, which it was dual function because he's a author and he also is the program coordinator for the Rush program out of Cincinnati or out of St. Louis. So it was twofold. So what was your why on why you created the Bunkhouse Podcast?
Yeah, so there's actually two phases to my podcast. So Willis, you've actually met me after my rebirth of my podcast, honestly. And so when I first started it, I was still active duty, but I'd already been through the majority of my med board and just kind of really waiting on my findings to come back now, right? Once it goes off to the VA and off to the DOD to get my findings back to see what they say. And so I decided, I was like, you know what? Podcasts were starting to become, I would say, bigger and more popular for people to listen to, especially in the veteran space around 2022. That's when I really started seeing kind of that surge in veteran podcasts really kind of kick out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? It's an easy way for me to stay connected to the veteran community. So I was like, I'm going to start a podcast. I named it the Bunkhouse because from my time before the Marine Corps, where I was a rodeo cowboy, and then that put like that, just that kind of, if you ever watch like the Dunton Ranch or like Yellowstone, you see the cowboys in the bunkhouse, they're drinking beer, playing cards, kind of shooting the shit, just letting it all hang out and just relaxing, right?
Stay, where the workers stay, right?
Exactly, right?
That's where the blue collared meat and potato guys stay.
Exactly, right? And so that was the reason I named my podcast the Bunkhouse, because that's the environment I kind of wanted it to be set in, and kind of have that kind of feeling or in that kind of tone, And so when I first started, I would bring veterans on to kind of share their path in either IT and or cybersecurity in that career field, whether that's what they did before, while they were in service, or after they got out, if they got into it afterwards. Again, it allowed me to stay connected with the veterans. It was very easy conversation for me to have because that's what I did in the Marine Corps. So it was very easy for me to translate that and talk about those things as well. Give people some insight or some advice on how to either transition into that career field once they got out. Because again, it's a a well-paying career field to be in outside the Marine Corps. It pays really well. I mean, I love what I do. I still do IT today. I love doing what I do, But again, it was kind of help paving the path for the next generation to make it a little bit easier and give them some advice to help them along the way, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And during those episodes, we would hit on mental health here and there a little bit, but a lot of it really was more along like the mental taxing or the burnout of the career itself, or just overindulging yourself into work like you did when you were in service and just burning out. That's really kind of how those conversations started. And then I retired by the end of May of 2022. And by around November, December time of 2022, I decided, you know what? I'm going to start a second session. And I called it a session because they weren't seasons. I would run both concurrently. So I released one episode a month at this time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to release a second episode every month. And it's going to be strictly on mental health only. And so I got one guest come on for that session. And it was actually my last episode I ever released until this year. So in January 2023, I had Brandon Dillon come on, prior infantry Marine. He's now a published author. He does poetry work now. He writes poems, takes all of his darkness and puts it on paper and turns it into poems to help other people out. Right. Again, taking his healing is him writing and doing poetry, right. And sharing those stories through poetry, that's part of his healing and giving back to the community, allowing others to read that and hopefully give some inspiration to somebody else. You know what I mean? And so I was working at a place. It was more of like a contractor style work. And I've worked with contractors before in some of my roles as a Marine, but I didn't realize what contractor work really was until I became a contractor doing the IT work. And as a contractor, you have to have very explicit tasking before you can really do anything. And you both know, as Marines, we are very initiative type of folks, right? We take the initiative, get things done, regardless if somebody tells us it needs to get done or not. We know what needs to get done. And so I'm the type of person where my mind has to be continuously challenged. I have to be continuously doing things, because I found out really quickly, if I'm not continuously mentally challenged, then I am going to fall into some loops that are not really good for myself, right? I fell into habits that really affected me. It affected my family, put me in some really dark spots. And eventually it got me into doing some things where me and my wife actually separated for a few months in 2023. At the same time, when it got to that point, I decided to kind of step back from the podcast itself and put it on the back burner, because I had to reprioritize some stuff in my life. And that just was one thing I couldn't prioritize at that time, because it wasn't going to benefit my family and what we needed to grow and get better. Right. So did that and kind of started I wouldn't say a hard rock bottom, but it was a rock bottom enough for me to look myself in the mirror and do some true, honest self-reflection. And I think that was the biggest turning point for me, is doing some honest self-reflection and identifying things that I knew that I needed to do differently, things where I knew that triggered me, whether it be my anxiety or some of my PTSD, being able to identify those things and be honest with myself about them and accept that just something that I have to work on. Right. Cause I guess another thing is not being in denial, but no, I'm okay. And just drinking and saying I'm okay. That's denial. That's a form of denial. Accepting that and knowing that there's something wrong, and knowing it's okay that there's something wrong, and being able to identify that and try to work past that and get better from those things. Does that mean I don't struggle still today? No, absolutely not. I still struggle today. But it's about taking those things and learning what I can do to make the struggle not as intense. Right. Yeah. And so kind of pivoted on that one, started growing and getting better, started my upward healing journey. And got an opportunity to actually work at the company I work for today in, let's say, July of 2023. So I've been there for 3 years now. Former Marine that I also worked with while I was in, he had some budget added to his department. It says he got approved to expand his team, his internal IT team, and he was the first person he thought of to call to be his first hire. And I was like, yep, exactly. And that's really what I needed too, is just that change of pace and change of scenery of my day to day. Right.
Yeah.
And both of my jobs outside the Marine Corps have been 100% remote. So again, first time being 100% remote, being by myself, easy to isolate, easy to get in my own head.
Yeah.
But now I got the opportunity to change my daily routine. And as I'm on my upward trajectory, that change made the world a difference. After that, right before I took that job, the new job, me and my wife decided to start working things out. I've moved back in because we could see what it was doing to the kids, see what it was doing to both of us also, and so we decided that we're going to try to move past what had happened, the things that I caused, the pain that I caused, and work on it and be better. And honestly, I think we've been better since then than we were even leading up to those issues, working through those hard times and those dark times is made us stronger. And it shows us that we could work through anything. Right. I think that's the big thing too. And so last year in 2025, I decided, I was like, you know what? I really still want to do my podcast, and then working through my own healing and my own struggles. And I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to relaunch my podcast next year, which would have been 2026 when I'm having this conversation with myself. And like most of us do, I had an actual verbal conversation with myself as I'm typing it out and writing stuff down. Right. I was like, you know what? I'm still going to do this. And this time I'm only going to focus on mental health. That's all I'm going to focus on is mental health and life after service, because I think that's where it matters the most, is once we take the uniform off and we no longer have what we would call a purpose or a mission in life. Right. Because we know what our purpose and mission is when we have the uniform on. But once it comes off, that's when it all becomes not so clear to any of us. Especially, I think, in that first 12 months after retiring or EASing or whatever the case may be, that first 12 months is the most challenging time of our entire life, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's why you see so many guys either come back in or transition to another branch of service.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Or they go strictly into to law enforcement because it's the same culture, the same type of lifestyle. It's the closest culture and lifestyle that they could find to being in service, right? Yeah. So again, not bashing on law enforcement, because that's an admirable profession in itself. Because then, that's kind of where I want to get to also with my podcast, not just veterans, but get the first responder side of it into it too, because that's a community that doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion, as well.
Willis and I talk about it all the time. Yeah, there's a ton of nonprofits out there, a ton of organizations out there for veterans, male, female, both, combat, non-combat, whatever. There's very, very few for our first responders, not just law enforcement, but for our first responders.
Yeah. They're scattered. There's a few of them out there
compared to veterans.
Yes,
it's minute. There's not enough.
Very, very, very minute. So no, I love it. So we've had, I think we had Kentucky Wounded Heroes on, which they focus on veterans and first responders. And their PTSD is daily, like ours, like mine stems from when I was in service, when we were in Haiti in 98, 99? 99 when we were there the first time. And of course I got some other stuff that's tacked onto that as well, but I still live with it. But these guys, police officers, EMS, fire, those guys, it's daily for those guys, because first and foremost, when they wake up, they're like, man, I got to make it home safe tonight. And with them, if you're a police officer, if you're pulling somebody over on the highway, well, did that person get over far enough? Is there a drunk driver that's going to be coming up behind us and maybe possibly? So, they're dealing with that.
I saw a stat the other day. The average person will have 4 or 5 traumatic events in their life.
Yep.
A police officer over a 20-year career will have over 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. And those guys, they don't really have an outlet that they can talk about it, because if they go to their department shrink, because every department has a shrink, and they tell them, oh, well, this is what's going on in my brain space. Well, they go back. They're not supposed to, but they'll go back to chain of command, especially if it could cause bodily harm or whatnot. They have to go back and report that, right? So that police officer now has to think, well, do I want to open up and be sidelined? Because if I open up and say, well, this is what's going on in my brain space, I might not have a job tomorrow. I can't provide for my family.
It was no different when I was in. If you went to see the friggin' shrink and they're like, hey, this guy's got post-traumatic stress, you got friggin' benched.
Oh,
there was no leading, training, mentoring. You got put in a friggin' admin role and didn't get to lead, train, or mentor.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what it was in my generation too, honestly. Like when I was a young Marine, that's exactly how it was too. Because of the plus up in Iraq and Afghanistan was at the height of the time that I came in. That was when the plus up really hit. And it was the same way. If you had said that you had a drinking problem because of whatever happened on deployment, or you needed to talk to somebody about the nightmares you're having, you immediately got labeled as weak or not being able to support or provide the mission. And so, like you said, you got benched, or I've even seen it where some didn't get the opportunity to get the help and they completely got sidelined and got forced out.
Yep.
Right. And that's the worst thing we could do for these folks. Like, that's the worst thing.
I mean,
I will say it's gotten better.
I paid private to go out in town, and they still sent all my stuff to BAS, to my records. And I'm like, this is not how this is supposed to work. But they had a friggin' contract with DOD that if anybody went that was a service member, Navy, Marine Corps, whatever, that it had to be reported. And I'm like, I'm done. Yeah. I'm not doing this shit no more.
Yeah. And so we learn how to just bottle it up and put a mask on and fake the fake, and just keep pushing through. And some of us, it doesn't explode, but then a lot of us, it does. It explodes at the wrong or the most inopportune times a lot of times.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Mr. Jon, we are running close to time here. If somebody wanted to locate you on all your social media platforms, what do they look for?
Yeah, so the easiest place to find all of my platforms, including my website, they can go to my link tree. So HTTPS link tr.ee / the Bunkhouse, and you'll be able to find all of my podcast platforms, whether it be Apple, Spotify, Pandora. They'll also see a link to my website. They'll also actually see some link to some other veteran resources as well. So like I give a big shout out to oh shoot, I just had a brain fart. I hate when that happens. The vet centers, the local vet centers, they're outside the VA. They give a lot of the same type of resources that you can get from the VA, but they don't actually partner with the VA. They actually sit outside of the VA, which is nice. And kind of like what you said, Gunny, they actually do not share with the VA unless you tell them to. That's where I went through for my counseling sessions when I kind of started having my pivotal time in my turning and starting my healing was with the vet center. And I really enjoy it. So I always give those guys a shout out anytime I can. So I have a link on there trying to find your local vet centers. I also have links on there to some of the resources that I've had guests on. If they have a book or something like that, I put their information on there too. So I always share and promote any guests that I've had. So again, you want to try to find out where anything I've been or any of my guests, just go to my link tree. It's all right there.
Awesome.
Have you read or listened to Ken Falk's Struggle Well?
I have not, but I will put that one on my list.
It's post-traumatic growth. So it's learning how to, I'm not going to say get past, but live with your traumatic experience and grow from that. And the 5 areas of growth. So they actually did a study with UNC Charlotte for a number of years and came up with this post-traumatic growth. I'm trying to think of the nonprofit that he helped start too. That they teach this. They have 3 different locations. There's one in Virginia, one in Arizona, and there's one in Texas now. And I can't remember what the organization is, but yeah, Ken Falk, and it's called Struggle Well. It's an amazing listen, but it's a good read too. There's a lot of good information in there. And
I'll have to put that one on my list.
Yeah, I do a post every year about my journey and post-traumatic growth and the areas that's helped me and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a really, really good resource, and it's extremely helpful.
It's awesome.
I'm trying to look up and see if I can. Is it Boulder Crest?
Boulder Crest. Yep. Boulder Crest Retreat. Yeah, is what he helped start. And like I said, there's one in Virginia, there's one in Arizona, and there's one in Texas, because we jumped into the one in Arizona and Texas a couple of years ago. But yeah, Struggle Well is the name of the book.
Okay. Yeah, I have to put that one on my list.
Awesome. All right. So, parting words. When you end your podcast, what do you say to the people watching or the people that might be listening to you later? What is your parting words of wisdom?
The biggest thing that I always try to get across in every episode I do is that you're not alone, and it's okay to not be okay. Just remember that if you're going through something, it is okay. We all go through stuff, and you're not alone. And I always give out the crisis line. So 998, press 1 for veteran crisis line. There's always going to be some there. Look me up, reach out to me, shoot me an email, shoot me a message on any of my platforms. Trust me, I will get back to you. I will find you the resources you need. I guarantee you, Willis, Gunny, you guys are the same way too. Most of us that are on these platforms in the veteran space, we're all going to be that same way. Just know that you're not alone, and it takes a tribe to heal, honestly. And then I always close out with my tagline, be the light in someone's dark, because again, you never know that one comment or that one gesture or that one just taking time to listen, how that might affect that person for the rest of their life.
I think he just almost finished our show for us, guys.
I don't even have to do my piece now, man. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do You're Not Alone. I don't have to do It Takes a Village. I don't have to do any of that. So we might as well just roll right to community sponsor. And,
man.
Joke of the day, man. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. Well, John, we're going to drop you down to the green room, finish up the show real quick. And if you want to hang out and chit chat afterwards, we'll be here. So stand by.
Sounds good.
You cut him off.
I know I did. I cut him off again. All right, Gunny, you ready?
Yeah, man.
You're always ready, ain't you?
Yeah.
Gunny's words of wisdom.
Nobody cares about a man's health until it turns to anger.
Say that again for the people in the back.
Nobody cares about a man's health until it turns to anger.
That's so true, though. That's so true. Because let
me say, a man's mental health.
Yeah.
Until it turns to anger.
Because all right, so you can go out here and work yourself to death, right? And most men have that macho bravado. No, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me, even though they're dealing with all of this stuff, right? Like I will tell you, my wife, if she's worried about something, people are going to know that she's worried about this, especially me. I'm going to know, right? Me personally, when I'm struggling and I'm worried about this or worried about that, you're not going to know. I'm going to have the same face right now as I would then, right? So, but when it turns to the
service members, if you seek help, you're weak, right? If you go to BAS, you're weak. If you go to medical, you're weak. If you talk to doc, you're weak, right? So that's been put into us since freaking boot camp, especially the Marine Corps, right? The Marine Corps is probably the worst at it. The special forces guys, they have a better transition thing when they come back from their deployments now. They have a great program that I wish everybody would friggin' implement. And, if someone's struggling, let them get help. I did see the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps come out with a video a while back ago, and he's just in civvies. He's like, hey, I'm not at my office. I'm at home. We're going to talk about mental health and this, that, and the other, which is fine and dandy. But you're still putting people on the friggin' sideline because they're trying to seek mental health. They're trying to better themselves, to be better people and better leader for their Marines. And you're still knocking them down.
Yeah. And that's where the military and whole needs to get better, because if somebody's seeking help, and it might be, entry level PTSD, not chronic, it might just early onset PTSD, right? And I hate using the word PTSD. I hate using the D. So PTS, and they're like, hey, I need to get through this, because if you have one traumatic experience and you work and you get help for that traumatic experience, you won't have to deal with that 20 years later, right? Because you already dealing with it, and you already know how to work the system.
No, because there's still things that are going to trigger it, right? So let's just take me for instance. I friggin' can't stand leading up to the 4th of July. I can't stand the week after the 4th of July. I can't stand New Year's. Okay. I'll be driving down the road and I'll catch a smell of something and it friggin' triggers me. Or I'll see something that reminds me of, friggin' being blown up.
Yeah.
That shit's been over 20. It's been 21 years since that event happened. And it still friggin' sneaks up on me. And it's not something that I think about. It's just subconsciously my brain's like, hey, this is happening again. So that piece doesn't go away. You'll see Vietnam veterans that will freak out at a bonfire if somebody throws gasoline, kerosene, or whatever to make that big plume.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's every Vietnam veterans, but there's some, right? That is part of post-traumatic stress. Anytime you flinch from thunder or a door slam, that's a sign of post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
So it's not going to go away. Yeah. It can be minimized, but the stuff's always going to be there. Your reaction to it can be minimized.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mean go away completely, but you're able to, with the tools, if it gets, like say yesterday, a traumatic experience happened to me, right? And I go to my therapist and I'm like, all right, this happened yesterday or day before. And he's like, all right, these are things that we can work through to help. So it'll help minimize it. It'll never go away. I'm not saying, because mine, I mean, hell, 99 was when I was in Haiti when most of my shit happened, and I'm still dealing with it now. Like I'll wake up in the middle of the night, or I'm driving down by a friggin' trash dump and smell that smell on a hot summer day, and it's like, oh, I'm right back in Haiti in the friggin' market area. So, and then John put it in private chat that childhood trauma leads to a lot of our tendencies, and we've talked about that numerous times. That almost
it's compound trauma. You know,
I mean, almost 90% of people who join the military have a really rough upbringing before they join the military. So that's definitely.
I would say on the enlisted side.
Yeah, especially on the enlisted
side. A lot higher. On the enlisted side, it's a lot higher.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. You ready?
It's time for the joke of the day.
Why would a pig dressed in black never get bullied? I'm going to repeat the question. Why would a pig dressed in black never get bullied?
Why would a pig dressed in black never get bullied?
Because Batman has sworn to protect Gotham.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Where's it here? Here we go. Where's it at?
Yeah, I was looking for that one too.
It was funny. Grace is stuck in traffic on 71 at Sparta in the rain.
I told you it was trash here. I mean,
I know. She's coming back from the Richie Rich neighborhood up there.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the joke of the day and Gunny's words of wisdom. So we've already hit on this. So don't let your dark days win. In the silence of your struggle, remember though unseen.
Steal my thunder.
Well, all right. Well, I didn't think you wanted to do it. Go for it, then.
You're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. Don't let the dark days win. It's okay to be okay. Just don't stay there. And you do not have to be a product of your environment.
In the silence of your struggles, remember though unseen, you are deeply held in the hearts of others. Come on, TikTok. Here we go. You're not alone. The uniform may come off, but the bond remains. And together we heal, together we rise, and together we carry each other forward. And that's the key word there, together. Which we'll talk about being together later on down the line here. Be someone stranger. We talked about this just a little bit earlier in the show. Be someone stranger today. What I mean by that, we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. My wife, if she's still in here, she could tell you for the first 20 years of us being together, she didn't know a whole lot about my military service until I started this podcast and started talking about it more. And she listened and heard some of the stories.
She'd be snooping in the comments.
Yeah, she'd be snooping in the comments. So when you're out and about and you see somebody and it looks like they're having a bad day, go up to them, say, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And if they give you the red flags, "I'm okay, I'm hanging in there, I'm living the dream," ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? And be ready for that conversation, because it could be a 5-minute conversation. It could be an 8-hour conversation. You have to be ready for that conversation and just sit there and listen. Because a lot of times Gunny or myself or John, we just want to get it out. We just want to get it out. We don't want you to try to fix this. We just need to get it out. And you never know. That could save that person's life.
Yeah, and it takes a village. I mean, we all have our cell phones. We have a bunch of contacts. Most of us have some type of social media platform that have followers and friends or whatever. You pick up your phone, go to your contacts, blindly scroll, hit the number. And, if they don't answer, hey, just thinking about you today, you get a chance, give me a call back. If they answer, hey, I need an ear. You got a minute. And like I said earlier, who knows? Your voice might be the one that saves them that day.
So got a message back from Chris up in Wisconsin, because I know we were worried about those guys up in Wisconsin. He said it was 5 miles north
From them. Wow.
Yeah, 5. Let's see. He said it went 5 miles north of my daughter's house and 2 miles south of my shop. We are clearing up tons of trees that went down. Thanks for checking in. So we got a friend that lives up north, up in Wisconsin. Gunny said right before the show happened that a tornado went through. So I reached out to Chris up there, and that's what he just responded. So thankful he's alive and everything's good to go. So
yeah,
super
praying for
excited
everybody else affected up there for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Praying for everybody. So if you're a prayer warrior, pray for the people up in Wisconsin, where that tornado landed up there. All right. Now we're going to talk about community partners. We don't have sponsors. We have our community partners. Up first is
SOF Missions out of Tampa, Florida. Great organization doing amazing things for our veterans and first responders. Willis and I went to the 5-day clinic. Every part of the clinic is catered to you, the individual, except for the group settings where the 10 people that are in attendance are gainfully commuting with each other. But they offer 365-day aftercare if you choose to do so, from everything from supplements to helping you find therapists or massage therapists or golf or working out. It's just an amazing program, and I encourage everybody to at least check it out. If you are a first responder that wants to apply for the program, under branch, you click that arrow down, and at the very bottom you'll find fire, EMS, and police. It's right below the services. And then they do have all female clinics. Their next all female clinic is October. So if you're a female and you want to be around other females, you don't want to be around some dudes, just fill that out and let them know that the guys from the HomeFront SitRep sent you, and let us know too, and we'll put in a good word for you.
Yeah, we can reach out to them and say, hey, we got this person coming or that person coming up there. I just talked about it, Chris. I just talked about your message you sent me, brother. I'm glad you guys are doing well up there, and we're going to be saying prayers for you guys up there. Up next is heroesmediagroup.com. Man, I can't speak highly enough of Adam Bird and Heroes Media Group. HomeFront SitRep's been a proud member of HMG now for 3 years. And anytime I reach out to Adam or he reaches out to me, he's like, hey, how can I help you? He always asks, what do you need? What can I help you with? You should see the platform, all the veteran podcasts that he has on the Heroes Media Group platform, and then everything else that he does for the veteran space, Military Creator Con, and everything else that is going on within Heroes Media Group. So check out heroesmediagroup.com.
Yeah, Reese Cross America Radio. You can find us every Thursday, 11 p.m. Eastern. One of our great shows that we've had earlier in the week or earlier in the month, we post there. Or you can just go to reaseacrossamerica.org/radio and listen to some of the other great shows they have.
Yep. Amazing organization, Jeff and his team up there. They are building a wonderful veteran resources and stuff like that on the Reach Across America Radio Network. So give it a shout.
Yeah.
Up
Or
next,
just
we got-
go to Reese Cross America and donate money to a wreath for one of our national cemeteries.
Yeah. So up next, we got Same Flag, Same Oath.com. This is a small veteran-owned company outside of Katy, Texas. Matt and Becky Johnson, they are phenomenal people. Everything that they do for nonprofits. So this business partners with nonprofits, and they design the shirts for them. They sell the shirts. They ship the shirts all from their house, and then the nonprofit gets 25% of all sales. And you can do that monthly, quarterly, yearly, however you want to do it. But they send that money to that nonprofit, and they are doing this out of the kindness of their heart. Like, it didn't cost that nonprofit anything to do the shirts or anything, but they get 25% of all sales. So they did our shirts. Homefront SitRep has our Marine It Down shirt. We have the Spicy Pineapple shirt. We have the Homefront SitRep logo shirt. We have our Red Friday, Remember Everyone Deployed shirt. We got our hashtag You're Not Alone and hashtag Be Someone Stranger. The Marine It Down only comes in the heather blue with the red Marine It Down on the front. The Spicy Pineapple, I think it only comes in the black, if I remember correctly. And then the Homefront SitRep shirt is multiple colors. The Red Friday shirt is red or black. And then, of course, the writing, if it's a red shirt, the writing's in black. If it's the black shirt, the writing's in red. The Be Someone Stranger and You're Not Alone. There's 4 different shirt colors you can choose from. And I think there's like 5 or 6 different font colors you could choose as well. So go check out homefrontsitrep.com, click on our merch, and you can actually order it right there from our website. I just want to see y'all wearing our shirt. Like, I'm wearing a Spicy Pineapple right now. Of course, I'm trying not to show it on friggin' TikTok so I don't get banned again.
Right.
But go check out our homefrontsitrep.com and click on merch.
Yeah, and Elite Engraving, small veteran-owned business here in Kentucky, husband-wife duo, doing amazing things with all things laser engraving, right? So they take leather patches. Willis just showed us the Homefront SitRep hat with a red diamond plate patch. I have an Elite Engraving problem. I think I have 8 hats from them, for everything from 2 Homefront SitRep hats to, I don't know, Mogadishu Mile. Oh, there's the other Homefront SitRep, Team Fast Tracks, Warriors Honor Cruise. I mean, I've got a problem.
Yeah.
Got a big problem. I got another box coming tomorrow, but it's not for me. It's not for me. I just had somebody send their hat to my house. But no, great organization. Reach out to Kara and let her know you want a hat, and she'll take care of you. You can get it centered, big logo, small logo, offset, multiple patch. She'll work with you, and they have different colors in the patches. So great organization, and it's a very quick turnaround, and there's no setup fee for you either. And all their hats are Richardson style hats.
Yeah, and they got every color that you can imagine.
Yeah. They engrave on metal, wood, glass. I mean, it's doing some great things. So check out eliteengraving24.com or Elite Engraving on Facebook.
All right, up next we got Valor Coins and Pins. These 2 gentlemen here, Brent and Brian Casey, they are the grandsons of the late Herschel Woody Williams, Medal of Honor recipient, Marines Marine. This guy was a badass. He never met a Marine. Gunny told me a story. This guy, Herschel, never met a Marine that he didn't love. He was just, like I said, he was a Marines Marine. but Brent and Brian Casey, they run Valor Coins and Pin. Now, what they do is they create challenge coins, they create pins, they do a little bit of everything. Now, the cool thing about this is a lot of some of the money goes to the Herschel Woody Williams Foundation, which puts up the Gold Star monuments around the country for Gold Star families. So go check out valorcoinsandpins.com for your challenge coin. If you want a challenge coin, if you need somebody to design one, this guy over there, he knows how to design coins. He's pretty good at it. He's done a few. So go check out valorcoinsandpins.com. I think you got like 3 rows there that you design, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 rows. 5 rows of coins that he's designed. So if you need a coin for your podcast or your business or whatever, reach out to Gunny Deeds here. He could take care of you.
I will assist. But yeah, I mean, it's not just coins and pins. It's patches. It's medallions. It's poker chips. Brent and Brian will take great care of you. Just telling the boys from HomeFront SitRep sent you. Again, we don't get any kickbacks from it whatsoever, but they may give you a good price. Up next is RDC Shoes. Darren Davis, Marine, also law enforcement officer. Him and his wife started the shoe company shortly after 9/11. The idea. Right now, they have the Patriot and the Glory. The Patriot shoe is a blue shoe with the stars with a red and white tongue. The proceeds from that shoe go to the Medal of Honor Foundation and the Herschel Woody Williams Foundation. And then the Glory shoe is a red and white shoe with a blue tongue with the stars. And I think the top eyelet on both sets of shoes are gold to represent the Gold Star families. And right now, the Glory shoe, portion of the proceeds goes to represent the Folds of Honor Foundation that provides scholarships for kids of severely wounded service members or kids of fallen service members.
Amen.
And each pair of shoes comes with a like an 8.5 by 11 hero card of a Medal of Honor recipient.
Yes, sir. I was when I got my Patriot shoes. Now I tell you what, I wear my Patriots all the time. They are so friggin' comfortable. But when I opened it up and got that hero card that was in there and read the citation, I was like, man, that's super cool. And I just love that they do that. And they, for one, it's keeping those guys' memory alive. Because we talk about it all the time.
Well, and some of them are still here, right? So
yeah.
I think I have one that has Sammy Davis on it. Sammy's still touring and making appearances, Vietnam veteran. His story is what inspired the movie Forrest Gump.
Oh, nice.
And then, of course, Woody has one there, and I think Kyle Carpenter, and then there's a few others that have been featured there too. But yeah, there are some that have passed, and it is keeping their story and their memory alive, and it's keeping the integrity of the medal alive as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, my friend, it is that time of night. Like we always say on HomeFront SitRep, stay safe out there.
We got your 6.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront SitRep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.